The Queen's former daughter-in-law, Sarah Ferguson, was seen for the first time this morning since the Queen's death last week, as she joined ex-husband Prince Andrew to view the beautiful tributes to the late monarch in Windsor. The Duke of York was observed going around the castle grounds, admiring the carpet of flowers left by visitors. Sarah Ferguson was spotted stooping to check the flowers and read some of the messages left there. Each night, thousands of flowers are transported from the long walk leading up to the castle and deposited inside the grounds. Earlier this morning, Prince Andrew was seen quietly admiring the tributes. Sarah, the mother of two, did not attend the Balmoral walkabout with her daughters earlier this week, nor did she accompany the funeral procession from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Hall on Wednesday. However, according to reports, the Duchess is thought to have been invited to the funeral on Monday. She was last seen riveted to her phone at Venice Airport on Thursday, just before the revelation of her former mother-in death, Laws, whom she referred to as her greatest mentor. Although Sarah Ferguson has not attended any royal events since the Queen's death on September 8, the Duchess shared a heartfelt tribute to the Queen shortly after Elizabeth passed away. "I am heartbroken by the passing of Her Majesty the Queen," Sarah wrote on social media. "She leaves behind an extraordinary legacy, the most fantastic example of duty and service and steadfastness, and a constant steadying presence as our head of state for more than 70 years. She has given her whole life selflessly to the people of the UK and the Commonwealth," she added. "To me, she was the most incredible mother-in-law and friend. I will always be grateful to her for the generosity she showed me in remaining close to me even after my divorce. I will miss her more than words can express." Explaining the notable absence of the Queen's former daughter-in-law since Her Majesty's death, royal expert Shannon Felton-Spence told Fox News Digital, "She'll be at the funeral, but where she will be sitting will be interesting. She's not an official member of the royal family anymore. So I don't think she'll be sitting next to Andrew. We saw the wives in the cars behind the procession, but not Sarah," Spence pointed out, referencing the vehicle procession that followed the Queen's coffin to Westminster Hall on Wednesday. "That is where you can see the reality that they are divorced, even though they still live together and are so close." Meanwhile, royal expert Hilary Fordwich noted that if Prince Andrew and Sarah were still married, her role in the funeral preparations would not be prominent. "Even if she were still married to Prince Andrew, she's not going to have a prominent role," Fordwich told Fox News Digital. "I will just say that you're really only seeing those that are the current spouses. Don't forget, she's not a current spouse of the Duke of York. They have a very good relationship for being a divorced couple," she added. "And she's been very supportive to him, but even if they were married, you wouldn't be seeing her by his side." Sarah and Prince Andrew were married for 10 years before they divorced in 1996, but she has remained at the Royal Lodge in Windsor with the Duke. In the past, she had called them the happiest divorced couple in the world since they shared a house but had separate quarters. "The two of us are like pillars of strength for one another," she said. After the prince stepped down from active royal duties and lost his military titles and patronages, the 62-year-old recently vowed continued support for the prince, calling him a very good and kind man. The mother of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie has been at the center of numerous scandals involving the British royal family. A photo of her having her toes sucked by her financial advisor in the south of France surfaced 5 months after her divorce from Andrew, and she famously fell out with the Duke of Edinburgh. Before Philip's arrival in Scotland, the Duke had been called odd and pointless, and he had been asked to leave the royal estate at Balmoral. The Duchess was said to be a bag of nerves at meeting Philip. Despite their much-publicized feud, the mother of the bride had to stand behind the left shoulder of her former father-in-law for photographs in the white drawing room at Windsor Castle. She did not attend Prince Philip's funeral amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and didn't join her family at the memorial service earlier this year either. Even though the Queen's extended royal family and more than 1,500 mourners gathered at Westminster Abbey to honor the Duke of Edinburgh, the Duchess was noticeably absent. Despite tensions with Prince Philip, it was known that Sarah was significantly closer to the Queen, which could have stemmed from the lack of relationship with her own mother. The Duchess of York's mom died in a car crash in 1998 after divorcing Ferguson's father and remarrying. I think to myself that honestly, my mother-in-law has been more of a mother to me than my mother. She's never faltered, Sarah previously said about Queen Elizabeth II on an episode of the Tea with Twiggy podcast in 2021. I absolutely think there is no greater mentor, she added. The consistency of Her Majesty has been a great honor. A huge honor. Makes me want to cry. Sarah is also believed to have had a role to support the Queen following the Duke's death at the age of 99 last April. Since then, she was allowed somewhat back into the fold, visiting the Queen's Scotland retreat Balmoral with her ex-husband in August last year. The Duchess had been invited to the Deeside Castle in previous years, but had stayed for just a few days until the Duke of Edinburgh joined the Queen. Royal watchers believe that the Queen, who had a soft spot for her former daughter-in-law, was more receptive to the idea of Sarah returning to a more prominent role within the firm after the Duke's death. Sarah recently vowed to stand by her ex-husband after he was stripped of his military roles and patronages, describing him as very good and kind. She made the comments during an interview with Ian Dale on LBC following Andrew's settlement with Virginia Giuffre earlier this year. Sarah said that she was thankful their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, have got him. Asked about maintaining a good relationship with Andrew after their divorce, Ferguson said, "He's a very good and kind man. He really understands the art of communication with me and trust. We really do communicate, compromised with compassion. I will stand by him. It's an incredible friendship and not just co-parenting, it's just real. Thank goodness the girls have got him. He's very naval and this is how it's done, and very royal life, and then they have the river running by, which is me." Sarah also spoke to Times Radio and was asked whether she would still choose to marry the Duke if she could turn back time. She gushingly replied, "Oh, yes, he's a very good and kind man." Referring their wedding day, she added, "And it was an exceptional day, July 23, 1986. And it was just extraordinary."